we're back again today. We're at Road Motorsport, here to map Eric's GR Yaris. Been on the dyno with Romain from Racecal, and we're finally finished. It's been out on a test drive today, and Romain's going to kindly tell us how today has gone.
It's gone very well, actually. We're going to start with the issue. We had the issues that we saw we might have had because we were missing two little fittings. So the graph that you see on the background is nearly the final before we started having issues with fuel pressure, because you're still on the OEM fuel pump. So we managed 360 at the wheel, which you can see over here. The torque's been capped because we're still on stock engine, so we didn't want to push it too much, especially because we know we're going to resist the final mapping when everything is sorted. But it's gone very well. Like, we didn't really have big issue as such. Boost control was fine. The new cams works very well. We actually went for a little test drive with Joel just now, and it's very smooth drive, not like stock, apart from the clutch, which is a bit aggressive. But apart from that, it's been great. I'm hoping I want to be as close as 400 to the wheels as possible on pump fuel. But I think we're going to start being limited with fuel quality.
Yes.
So we're going to do flex fuel as well. And based on the flex fuel, we'll see where we stop with the pump fuel.
And I think from a perspective of a mapper like you, trusting what's in the forecourt is going to be quite key. So, I mean, you can map it for 400 at the wheels, but you don't know that you're going to go and put fuel quality in, and the next fill at the garage is difficult without a known fuel to really put that into the car, isn't it?
Yeah, because like when you're on the dyno, I'm in the car, I've got my laptop, I'm doing the pool, and I'm basically doing one pool from 2000 to 7000 in fourth gear. Everything is in control, and as you say, the quality of the fuel which is in the car is a given because I can see it straight away. I've got my dead cams on, I can set up the knock controls, the knock detection, and the knock control for what it is now. But you need to give yourself a bit of margin. You don't want to be right on the limit all the time.
Of course.
Simply because it's not good. First, you don't really want to have to rely on knock control too much or all the time. And also because the fuel quality tomorrow or in 2 weeks' time when everything's filled up might not be the same. Yeah. So we want to have that safe margin. I'd rather give him 380 and be like, here's your key, and now you can drive the car, it'll be fine. Yeah. If it's not, you're fairly unlucky, but at least the Savage would be able to do something about it instead of aiming to be on a knock or even on a learning knock and end up at 380 anyway, because the issue is going to put 2, 3 or 4 degrees of timing all the time. And when you got flex fuel, if you do want that little bit more power, just put ethanol in the tank, and then you do have that power straight away. So it's not for another 20 brake, and the risk that you take, sometimes it's just not worth it.
And the beauty of the Cybex, it's got the ability to tell you how much content, ethanol content, you can put that on the dashboard, can't you?
Yes, not on the dashboard, but it's got an aftermarket dashboard, so we'll be able to show that on the aftermarket dashboard.
Okay.
You need to fit fuel composition, flex fuel sensor, fuel composition sensor, and then you are able to show it. You can't do it on stock car because it doesn't have the sensor.
What do you do with your, just out of interest, because I've got you, with your ethanol content mapping?
Yeah.
Do you map the car at certain levels of ethanol content, or do you just simply say 60%, I'll give it the full beans, anything under 60 we go back onto pump?
So it depends on the car, on the engine, and what the customer will do with it. So for example, on certain cars, sometimes you're limited with the amount of fuel that you can give, and you won't be able to run more than 30 or 40% of ethanol. But the way the flex works, and that's why it's called flex, because it's basically kind of like flexing, like melting between two tables. But the linearization between 0% and 100% is full linear. It's actually it's a
so
straight.
You don't specifically teach it that linear. You can literally set a linear map, or do you have to teach it certain?
For the fueling, it would be easier if I had my laptop. But for the fueling, normally what you want to do is to map the car at 0% content, and then you got one, like table 1,
and map it out.
And then map it at 100%, and then you got table 2. Yeah. And if all your compensation on the background are correct, is going to be straight between the two. For the ignition timing is a bit different. And perfectly, if you want to map it perfectly, 2 tables wouldn't be enough. Because based on different points, you're going to reach what's called MBT at different point of the ignition table map. In a perfect world, would be like 2 or 3 weeks to do it perfectly, but it never happened like this. So normally what you do, you probably leave on full table 1 up to like 20%. So if you got like 0% or 15%, you're still on a very safe ignition table, which is okay for comp fuel. And as you start increasing your content, you move into the table 2. And normally I move fully to table 2.
60%?
70%. 70% and above. Because I know at 70% is not going to dead, and between 90% or 70% it's fine. So if we're going to map it at 70%, then if it doesn't dead at 70%, I know it's not going to dead at more. But then you need to be careful with the fuel pressure and the fuel supply that you've got after that, because the more ethanol you're going to have, the more fuel you're going to need. And also, if you blend it too quickly, it might dead at 50% because it's too much on table 2. So you need to be, you need to be careful. But sometimes it's working with a customer back and forth. It's like, just put a bit of ethanol in it, do a pool, send me a log. I can make sure everything's fine at 30%, at 40, at 50, and then after 60, I know it's fine because it's been on dyno like this.
No, that's really good. I mean, you've gone so into detail on that, and I have to thank you. And I know it's a bit of a catch-22 question because I've just come out of it, so really good of you to answer that in such detail for me, Romain. Thank you. So I'm looking forward to the next mapping session when we can actually put that into play. When will that be?
20th of July.
20th of July.
Yeah, booked already.
Excellent. So
no pressure.
No pressure. No pressure. No, it's brilliant. The car's been dyno. There's no issues. You know, kudos to Ignite. You built a really good car here. You know, bringing it to the dyno, there's always usually, I mean, I know from personal experience, there's always usually problems with boost control or something. So to have the car on the hub dyno, no issues. Really, pretty much map it.
Well, it's been like,
that's mega, isn't it?
Put on the dyno. We started it up. Did a steady state. Then start mapping the car and went and find the first limitation, which was fuel pressure, and it's been fine. So.
If only all your cars and sessions were the same,
I can only wish.
Well, listen, thank you very much for your time.
No worries.
Really nice to meet you as well.
Nice to meet you too.
Next time.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.